Hey guys, what's going on? This is xVFRoSTeDVx here, bringing you another X and Y narrative Wi-Fi battle. This is a battle I had against PkmnNinja, or known as PkmnNinja, during his live stream yesterday after I ended my stream, and this turned out to be an awesome, crazy match, so I hope you guys enjoy. Straight to the team preview. Talonflame, major threat. Manetric, major threat, and his entire team is nothing but VOLTTURNing. So, it's going to be a crazy match. Hope you guys enjoy. So during the team preview, I wasn't absolutely sure what he was going to lead with. I was actually thinking he was going to lead off with the Rotom, but he ends up leading off with the Manetric, which is just as fine because my Rotom is actually Choice Scarf. It's not the regular physically defensive Rotom, it's actually the Choice Scarf variant, so I'm able to actually outrun his Manetric because of the fact that he was in regular form and he runs at 105 base speed, so Rotom's able to outrun and get a nice clean 75-80% off the Manetric straight off the bat as he goes and gets a Volt Switch off. As he does a nice clean 50% to my Rotom. I had really no safe switch into a Manetric, so that's why I stayed in and went for the Hydro Pump, as I am forced to switch out because I'm actually locked into the Hydro Pump, and he just sent out Rotom, so I decided to go out into my Latios, and he decides to go and get the Will-O-Wisp off on my Latios, which I'm perfectly okay with. I'd rather have Latios burned than like any of my other Pokemon burned at the time. I decided to go for the HP Fire, completely derping of the fact that, like, oh, this thing gets Volt Switch, you know, it could Volt Switch out. And I was thinking he was going into a Scizor, but he didn't go into a Scizor, and he goes for the Pain Split, which I lucked out on because he thought I was going to end up going for the Draco Meteor, so at least the derp wasn't too bad to the point that this match could have been turned over into his favor. So this time, I didn't derp, and I decided to go for the Draco Meteor here, and I luck out a second time because I end up getting a critical hit on the second one, which ends up killing off his Rotom, which kind of mattered because realistically I thought that Rotom would have been able to take that Draco Meteor, so it didn't end up mattering too much in the game other than later on in the match. Actually, he decides to go out into his Talonflame. I don't have much of a safe switch in after my Rotom took half HP from the Manetric, so I decided to go out to my Ferrothorn thinking he'd go for the Brave Bird, but this is when I discovered that he actually has a full U-turning team. Well, it's actually not until I see the Gliscor until he shows that he's a complete VOLTTURN team. So he goes out into his Manetric here, and he gets the Intimidate off, and I stay in. This is a bold prediction on my part. I expected him to go straight for the Volt Switch, predicting me to switch out fearing the Flamethrower, but luckily my prediction was on point and I was able to stay in, take the Volt Switch rather nicely, and I'm now going to be able to get my Stealth Rocks up on this incoming Gliscor, which is perfectly awesome since now the Talonflame wouldn't be that much of a big of a deal. But I didn't realize of this Gliscor set, it actually has Defog. And not only that, it also has Stealth Rocks, and not only that, this is when I discovered that this is a Volt-turning team, and this Gliscor also has U-turn, and I'm like, this team is going to be very annoying to deal with because of the fact that every one of his Pokemon carry either U-turn or Volt Switch. So I decided to Leech Seed as he went for the Defog last turn, so I'm getting some leftovers Leech Seed recovery as he's getting Tox recovery. It's neutralizing it, so I decided to switch out of my Ferrothorn since I saw no reason to stay in anymore for the fact of the matter that he has the Defog, so he could just simply Defog my hazards away as he gets his own Stealth Rocks up. So this is a Gliscor set that also knows U-turn, it has Defog and Stealth Rock, so it's a pretty unique set. I never seen a Gliscor do that before, so I decided to go straight for the Dragon Dance because I didn't think he could do anything to me at this point since of his set. And he decided to go for the U-turn to break off my multi-scale and gain momentum at the same time, which was a great play on my opponent's part as he decides to pull a switch out into his Talonflame. And I kind of was in pretty much of a pickle here, so I had to go straight for the Extreme Speed, which out-prioritizes Brave Bird because Extreme Speed actually has a +2 priority as Brave Bird only has 1. And he goes straight for the Brave Bird, and my Dragonite miraculously lives it with 13 HP, and Talonflame takes himself out after the recoil damage and the +1 Extreme Speed, and he decides to go and pull a switch out into his Manetric here, and I'm like, why did he go onto his Manetric? I could simply E-speed this thing, as he actually switched into the Manetric just to intimidate me, so he can go into his Gliscor and I guess set up, I decided to go straight for the Extreme Speed because I expected him to stay in with the Manetric thinking he misplayed, but he didn't, and I decided to go straight for the Dragon Claw afterwards, and I'm doing I did quite a bit of damage on Gliscor. As he goes for the U-turn, he ends up killing off my Dragonite, but as he kills off my Dragonite, he gives me switch initiative, so he's going to switch out of his Gliscor, and he decides to go onto his fastest poke, which turns out to be his Excelgar. And I didn't know what to switch into, so I decided to pull a switch out into my Pinsir, since it's really the only thing that could scare this thing out because of the aerial-aided quick attack. But here's where I derped again. In the back of my mind, I'm thinking that the Rotom on his team is still alive, and I am a Mold Breaker Pinsir, and I decided to go for the Earthquake, expecting him to switch into his Rotom, but I completely forgot that I took out his Rotom turn 4 with the Draco Meteor of my Latios. So I decided to go straight for the Swords Dance. I didn't want to go Mega yet because he still has the Stealth Rocks up, and just in case I need to switch out with my Pinsir, I want to be able to switch it back in, as he decides to pull a switch out to a Scizor after U-turns when I Swords Dance. I didn't want to take a Bullet Punch. I knew the Bullet Punch was coming, so I decided to go straight into my Thorn, losing the +2, which was kind of worth it because he does go for the Bullet Punch, and he's getting Iron Barb's damage. It's not doing too much damage, so I decided to go and pull a switch out into my Rotom, thinking that he's locked into the Bullet Punch, because I think I was talking to him earlier yesterday, and he was mentioning how he really loves Choice Banded Scizor, and I'm getting a big hunch that this was a Choice Banded Scizor, so I felt like the Rotom was a very safe switch. As I do pull switch into it, he goes into his Excelgar, and I am faster than the Excelgar, surprisingly. Even though I'm a modest Choice Scarf, I'm still able to outspeed his Excelgar, and he decides to go for the Bug Buzz and take out my Rotom after I do like about 75% of his HP, which is absolutely awesome. So again, I decided to go out to my Pinsir because it's really the only thing on my team that can scare out this Excelgar at this point, because I don't have anything on my team after I lost my Rotom that can outspeed that thing. And he decides to go and pull a switch out into his Gliscor again, and this time, knowing that his Rotom is dead, because I kind of thought it over after a while, and I decided to go for the Mega Evolution and just go for the quick attack, because I want him to think that I was going to go for the Earthquake again like I did the last time. And he ended up making a safe play, going out to his Gliscor, and I decided to go for the return there, and he decides to go for the U-turn, which is not going to do too much at all, but he's going to pull the switch out and back into his Scizor to go for the Bullet Punch. And I didn't want to switch out, obviously, because the Stealth Rocks next turn would kill me off, and I didn't want to have to waste a turn defogging him away with my Latios, seeing that there was no point at this point in the match. As he does go for the Bullet Punch, I decided to go into my Thorn because I know he's locked into Bullet Punch, because he revealed it was Choice Bandit earlier today, and I kind of predicted him to be Choice Bandit at the time. And he decides to go into his Gliscor. I was expecting him to go back into his Excelgar, so this is why I went for the T-Wave, and he goes back into his Gliscor, and I decided to go and stay in, knowing that he can't really do too much to me. As he decides to go for the U-turn again, I didn't want to go for the T-Wave, just in the case he ended up going into his Manectric. I wanted to go for the Leech Seed, because I can hit anything that decides to come in, and it turns out to be a Scizor again. And I decided to go for the Leech Seed, but unfortunately I missed. It wasn't game-changing in the slightest, so I didn't really care too much. I was expecting the Superpower to come in at this point, so I decided to go out to my Latios, and even if I predicted wrong, I was okay with Latios dying, because it was outsped by pretty much the majority of his team. Scizor out-prioritizes it, Manectric outspeeds it, and Excelgar outspeeds it. I didn't need Latios anymore, so he decides to go for the U-turn, predicting me to go out into my Latios, which is good play on my opponent's part. But once again, he's giving me switch initiative as he goes back out to his Excelgar, and I didn't really have too much to switch into this thing, so the only thing I had was to go into my Azumarill, and decided to go for the Aqua Jet, predicting me to go for the Belly Drum, because I know these things decide to get Giga Drain, and I'm pretty sure that's what he was going to go for at that point. So after I took down his Excelgar, he decides to pull out, switch out into a Scizor, and I predicted him to predict me to go out into my Thorn. This is why I stayed in and go for the Belly Drum, which was kind of foolish, because if he had went for the Bullet Punch, I could have lost this game right here. But he ends up, I get my prediction correct, he does get the Superpower off, and I live with 36 HP, and he decides to pull a switch out of his Scizor, and he decides to fodder off his Gliscors, and he decides to go back into his Scizor because he wants to try to lock himself into Bullet Punch. Little does he realize, my Azumarill is a Jolly Max Speed Azumarill, which is not common on any Azumarill whatsoever. It's actually fast enough to outspeed a regular defensive Rotom. It's actually absolutely amazing. It saved me so many matches, and this is just me cleaning up the rest of his team with the Azumarill, with the Priority Aqua Jet +6, which is now +5 because of Manectric's Intimidate. And this turned out to be a 2-0 victory, which could have been a 1-0 if I had played a little bit safer. But this was a really, really awesome match. PkmnNinja, this was a really fun and tense match that I had with you. This was a great match. Guys, if you haven't seen his YouTube channel, go and check out his YouTube channel. I'll leave it in the description below. Also, check him out on Twitch. I'll leave his Twitch link in below. He does full team giveaways. He does, you know, every kind of giveaways. He's an awesome streamer. Just go and check him out. And like always, guys, if you guys enjoyed this video, please don't hesitate to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. If you guys want a chance to battle me, just follow me on Twitch, follow me on Twitter, like me on Facebook, and like always, guys, xVFRoSTED signing out. Later, guys.